Kody's pathological lying about Coyote Pass in the quote-unquote backdoor deal. Continue. I went back in time to look at what he has said on the show versus what he says in the tell-all. There's a new clip that just came out by TLC. And I often wonder if TLC is even aware of the lies that Kody tells, or if Kody pays attention to the lies in which he tells. Kody's discussion about the backdoor deal has been framed multiple ways by Kody. For Meri, it's been consistent the entire time. She was of and found out that the property had been split without her consent, without her say, and then she's in a position where she's forced to effectively agree to the terms, and they wanted her to sign a confidentiality agreement. Kody has said at first, what you saw in that first clip, that Janelle told him that he either needed to comply with what Meri wanted, or he would have to force a sale. So it's not that Janelle told him to force a sale. It was like, Kody, you need to make a choice. It feels like, in this case, Janelle put herself in a me in the middle. And I don't know if she did it because she was trying to keep the peace. I don't know if it's because she was motivated by her own interest to get the property sold. I don't know if it's she was nervous that the buyer was going to pull out. I have no idea. But even though Janelle had a lawyer about this, she somehow went to Kody and talked to him about it privately. Generally speaking, when there are negotiations happening about properties and lawyers become involved, the parties should not be talking without their lawyers present. Otherwise, there's no record and there's no one to negotiate and keep the others accountable. So what it sounds like to me is that Janelle, even though she had a lawyer, was also speaking to Kody away from a lawyer, which is sort of counterproductive. Meri, for her part, maintained that appropriate balance of, we are now in a legal fight. Even though we don't go to court, now that I have retained a lawyer, my lawyer is who speaks for me in regards to this. And if you need to talk about it, speak to my lawyer. That's how it works. It removes you from the acrimonious situation where your lawyer is your advocate. So Kody's story has changed, and Janelle's story is that Kody came to her and said that he could force a sale. And she told him that he could. I don't know if I would have said that to him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's advocating for anyone. I mean, theoretically, if she's thinking pragmatically, yes, you could force a sale, but that's like telling a thief that he can rob a bank. You could rob a bank, but you shouldn't. So Kody's story has morphed. He told something to his friend Brian in a later episode, completely different. And at one point Janelle's like, listen, we're just going to sell this out from under Meri and Robin. Robin doesn't like it when I partner with ex-wives. And that's not even cool. Yet I'm sitting here going, Robin, we've got to do this. And Robin's like, I will not do this. I went to God. I was like, am I morally off? I got to make some adjustments in my life. The darkness, the evil of divorce itself has cankered my soul. In this example, it's that Janelle tells him that they're going to sell it out from under Robin and Kody or Robin and Meri, but Robin doesn't like it when he partners with ex-wives. And then it was that he tried to push Robin to do it and she said no. And then he admits in his talking head that the divorce has made him evil and made him want to do wicked things. So, in truth again, it sounds like I'm being honest. Janelle wanted to sell. Kody wanted to sell. Janelle obviously was trying to be a meeting of the minds. But how did he leave out the part to Brian in this example where he says that Janelle Kody should comply with Meri, right? Or should compromise with Meri and give Meri what she wants. He leaves that completely out. So it depends on who he's talking to, what he says. The original version, it's Janelle is the mediator, and then Janelle tells him and she admits that she tells him and agrees that he can force a sale. He could have, based on how everything was set up prior to the split of the properties, that could have happened. But I have no idea what ultimately ends up happening. What does end up happening is Janelle agrees on paper in September that she'll just be a 25% owner. Not a 33% owner, but a 25% owner. Even though the property was paid for by 3, those loans were all paid off by 3, not by 4. Kody and Robin's income is considered 1 because it's a married unit, and you know that Robin didn't have the money to contribute herself because Kody's money is Robin's money. With that said, that story evolves and changes. So we're blaming Robin because she doesn't want him to partner with ex-wives, but then he's also admitting he wants to screw them over. And he has said repeatedly he wants to screw them over. And now, on the tell-all, he's going to put it all on Janelle as though he had nothing to do with it. And so, someplace in the middle there was an agreement that occurred, or a conversation that occurred. And yes, Janelle did sign off on agreement without consulting Meri. And yes, she put her interests in front of Meri's, and she should have gone through an attorney. So, let's hear what Meri says during the tell-out. Do you know that Kody and Janelle had discussed the sale without you? I suspected. In fact, there was a time that I said to Jen, I'm like, there's probably something going on because Janelle's not really talking about stuff. Every time we have a conversation, she's not bringing stuff up. She's not. And she's like, why don't you ask her? I'm like, I'm not going to ask her. I don't trust her. I am not going to ask her. I don't think that she would be honest with me if I did. So, from Meri's perspective, she had a feeling they were talking behind her back and making decisions about a sale without her involved. And she, based on her history with Janelle, didn't trust that she could have a conversation with her because she didn't think that Janelle would be honest with her and it wouldn't make a difference. So why would she feel like that? My guess is that in this family, they have done things what's like on committee and they have to get what they had to learn to build alliances. Think of it like you're on a reality show Survivor and you all have a goal of, trying to get other people to leave. And so you're going to build alliances to get what you want and to screw over the other person. And because you're in a world of survival, you resort to maladaptive behaviors like lying, misrepresenting the truth, telling one thing to one person and another thing to another person. You may try to be a people pleaser and just say whatever that person needs to hear, and then you tell the something to the exacto opposite to the other person. And I do believe that Janelle was in a way playing both sides to get her needs met. This is why I said before, once you get attorneys involved, Janelle should have allowed her attorneys to do the work. Janelle should not have been having conversations without Kody or without Meri about the sale at all. And what's really odd is all of these conversations are kind of happening off camera. And that sort of begs the question of how much contact were Janelle and Kody having off camera, right? And why would she feel comfortable going to Kody to have these conversations, but not Meri when she's told Meri that Kody's going to screw her, right? And I think in a way, Janelle's doing what Janelle does. She did this when she wanted to get her house built at Coyote Pass, when they talked about the one house. She talked about how a lot of times when she would get together with Christine, that it was strategic. She needed to build alliances. So I think she was maybe playing both sides. I'm going to build an alliance over here. I'm going to build an alliance over here. But at the end, she's trying to get what she wants. It's all everyone has competing interests, which is why it should have been done through lawyers. But I digress. Here's what Kody says. Yeah. So Janelle's like, you can force the sell. She's really misrepresenting because it wasn't my idea. Janelle came to me with the idea, you can force the sell on this. And started pressuring me. Very typical plural marriage situation. It was like old times. He's pressuring me against the other wives. We need to sell. You need to make those women come into compliance. And I'm like, you can call Meri. I can't. Why don't I Meri and talk her into doing this? No, Janelle wouldn't do that. Janelle wouldn't even call Meri. Okay, so here's my take on this. He says he can't call Meri, okay? Which tells me that he had been sent a legal letter about what was going on by an attorney. Okay, and the letter may have been sent to Kody. It could have been sent to an attorney, but the attorney would have told Kody or Kody's attorney that moving forward, due to my being retained, you will not speak to Meri without me with regard to this dispute. When you're in negotiations and you're not in litigation, and that's what they were doing. They were doing legal settlement, which is a lot of what happens in law. Lawyers, a lot of lawyers, the litigation you see that happens at trial and in the court is only a small fraction of what legal work is. So much of legal work is working with clients behind the scenes, trying to settle disputes without going to court. And lawyers, once they're retained, their job is to advocate, like I've said. And so Meri did everything she was supposed to do. Janelle told her to hire a lawyer. So she did. Once Meri hired a lawyer, she's not to have conversations with Kody or with anyone outside of her lawyer. And if you have a lawyer and you don't abide by your lawyer, or if you do things outside of your lawyer's advice, or if you defy your lawyer's agreement, you could destroy your relationship with your attorney. And the reason why you have to get a lawyer to begin with is because the communication has broken down so severely that you can't talk to this person. And not only the communication, but the trust has broken down so much, and this person has not been able to keep their word that it's the attorney's job to tell them that they have a legal duty. And whatever the attorneys are sending his lawyers, whether it's, here's the amount of money my client paid, here's the amount, blah, 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 blah. Had Meri not gotten an attorney, I guarantee you she never would have even gotten 25%. She still didn't get the 33%, but without an attorney, that 25 never would have happened. So the way that Kody frames it is disingenuous. And truly, Janelle shouldn't have been talking to Kody either. And it really makes me wonder if Janelle's lawyers were ever really involved, because the only time they talked about this on camera was that Zoom call, and Kody made a comment to Meri about, have your lawyers reviewed this? But nothing of the same to Janelle. And when Janelle signed, there was no attorneys that were involved. And if she's talking to Kody without her attorney, she's breaching the trust with her attorney, and then she's working against the interests of her attorney negotiating for her. So I don't know that she even had an attorney at all. And my guess is that because she was never a legal wife, she had no legal standing. And so the attorneys probably didn't have a lot they could do for her. Meri was completely different. She was a legal wife. There was a lot happening with the equity from their joint marital home. An attorney absolutely could come in and help Meri. But if Janelle had an attorney, she shouldn't have been talking to Kody. Period. And I think if you're married, that would be viewed as a betrayal, right? And for Kody to then try to pit it on her and say that Janelle's saying, you need to get these women in compliance. I just showed you in the very beginning of this video that he said that Janelle told him that he needed to comply with Meri or force a sale. Now it's, you need to get these women to comply. It changed. Janelle's mistake was talking to Kody without a lawyer present, because this is what happens. It allows Kody to twist the narrative. A lawyer would not allow that because there would be a documented record. What else does he say? So we're completely stuck. So she's calling me saying, why don't we just sell this without Meri? You pay her later. And that was a temptation only for a moment. So as it was backstabby of Janelle, it causes a fight with me and Robin. And then it was also backstabby of you. Don't you think? No. 'Cause I was already at war with Meri. I wasn't partnering with Meri, telling Meri that, oh, I'm going to protect your interest. Meri. So, in Kody's logic, because he wasn't pretending to try to kiss Meri's ass and partner with her, and because they were adversaries through lawyers, it was okay for him to screw her over. And it would have been okay for him to screw her over because he wasn't pretending to be Meri's friend. Okay. What? So, it's only backstabby of Janelle because Janelle's accordingly trying to play both sides. She's trying to be the mediator when she shouldn't be. She should have allowed her lawyer to do the work. And all of this is happening, by the way, when Janelle's in the middle of her grief. Her son has just killed himself, and she's dealing with the probate with his home. She's got to sell his place. She's bought property in North Carolina. She wants to get her own farm started. She wants to build a house. She clearly needs money, and she wants to sell and get over with and be done in Flagstaff. And Kody is framing this as Janelle is cozying up to Meri, pretending she has Meri's best interests. I will say that Janelle would tell Meri, at least on camera, she was having conversations with Kody, but I think Kody has always spoken to Janelle and consulted with her because she's the easier one to manipulate. I think he can get her to comply. I think he can get her to do what he wants. I think he can prey on her much easier. We all saw how she lit up when he said something nice to her. And I think Janelle would still be with Kody if he would have given her what she needed, whether it was land, whether it was a house, whatever it was. But she only left him because she wasn't getting her needs met, her financial needs met. So she views Meri and has viewed Meri as a rival. And in the same period, she's shit-talking Meri on podcasts, but then also talking to Meri one-on-one on camera about the property, trying to be her friend. Meri has every right not to trust either of them. Then none of them actually should trust any of them, and they should have just gone through attorney. And I don't believe that Kody wasn't being backstabby because he wasn't pretending to be Meri's friend. I think if it was a conversation that was had, it's underhanded by all. But it doesn't even sound like the conversation was how he describes. I don't think Janelle should have put herself in the middle of her grief. I don't think she should have tried to negotiate with a monster that is Kody. And I don't think she should have felt like she needed to be the one to settle it. That's why you get attorneys. And I don't think that it's, fair of Janelle to play like she's Meri's friend, but also try to work with Kody. But screwing anyone over, regardless of who it is backstabby. But I don't know who backstabbed who at this point. Wasn't sitting there sucking up to Meri all the time. Janelle didn't care. Janelle just wanted to get her money. And I was like, you know what? If we lose a buyer, we lose a buyer. Like, this was very normal for Janelle to come up to me and say this. I want this and I want this. Is this what Janelle would do in your marriage? I need this. Yeah. I want this and this is. And in fact, if you don't do it, then I'm just going to do it myself. I don't believe Kody in that. I don't believe this was Janelle's pulling the puppet strings here. I don't believe it's Janelle being bad. I think it's Janelle trying to get money and be done, right? It's survival. And this is why polygamy sucks. You can't have trust in any relationship because everyone has competing interests and there's a finite, limited amount of resources. And when relationships dissolve, those who are not the legal wives have no recourse. And, of course, Janelle would maybe resort to survival to get what she needs. Janelle and Meri's relationship was never good. And I think she initially reached out to Meri because she believed she couldn't get Kody on her side. I think had Kody been working with her and wanting to partner with her more, she never would have gotten Meri involved. I think she brought Meri in thinking if she could get Meri on her side, they would have two legs to stand on against Kody and Robin. The problem is that Janelle didn't keep her word with Meri. So I think for Meri, the betrayal would likely be that, hey, I thought we were working together on this. And here I find out you're talking to Kody without me involved. So are we a team or are we not a team? And I would be betrayed too if I were married. And Janelle is just falling back on old habits. And I just think, the difference between Meri and Janelle, at least right now, is that Janelle is still very stuck in the games of polygamy and the mindset. And Meri is more removed and out and gone through therapy. And Kody still can manipulate Janelle. And Kody's lying here. And I think until Janelle can sever complete ties, not just spiritual releases, but literally the emotional and the psychological pull that Kody has over her, until she can sever that in a healthy way. Meri shouldn't trust anything that she says to Janelle. And they're all going to struggle to trust each other and really have meaningful relationships so long as Kody's still in the conversation. That's the truth. So he's going to blame Janelle for everything, even though she's not the only one to blame here. And Meri's getting played by everyone. So what are your thoughts? Tell me in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed. And click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, besties.